broadcasted. However, as a recap, last time your intrepid band of crew from the Shadow Dancer was rescued by a woman named Katarga. She is a very important member of the Orzhov cartel. Her brother is quite possibly the most powerful mortal in the entire Orzhov cartel. His name was Jabin, kind of like Jabba the Hutt per se. If you need like a little memory mnemonic, it's actually pretty similar, except they're elves, not giant space slugs. Katarga's ship is. I'm gesturing with my hand, and you can't see it on your screens right now. The Saint Lastria. All of you have boarded as part of the salvage operation. The Shadow Dancer has been taken in tow, both pieces, because this ship is massive. It's basically a giant cathedral flying through the air with propellers and wings and smokestacks. Pretty epic. But the accommodations on here are a far stripe better than they were on the Shadow Dancer. Like, you're actually getting first class accommodations even on this giant cathedral ship. Individualized private staterooms, bathing and laundry services, formal invitations to dine with the captain and Katarga every night. Yeah, it's still like a good solid 2-week journey to District 10, even aboard the giant, massive flying cathedral. But if there's any other predators in the sky, they are giving wide berth because this thing is armed to the teeth, both with weaponry and you may have noticed here and there specters and ghosts popping in and out through walls because the Orzhov debts continue into the afterlife. That's one of their things. So during the dinners, I've got some notes, so I'm going to be like reading on things here just so you guys know. Katarga carried most of the conversations. She's very charismatic and she likes to speak. She rarely discusses her relationship with her brother, who, as I reminded you, is the leader of the Orzhov, one of the most prolific and powerful Orzhov shipping concerns, and its reigning cartel. So he's quite powerful. And of the oddly coordinated strike against all 200 of the freelance vessels that were helping with the evacuation, the Orzhov Guild basically funded all sorts of private ships to help with the evacuation of District 54. I mean, you know, it gains them in the end anyway, because everything for the Orzhov does. But they had apparently funded over 200 private vessels to help with this evacuation, and all 200 of them were attacked simultaneously, despite different vectors of escape and approach and timings. It seemed very oddly coordinated, and she thinks that there's a conspiracy behind it, is her personal opinion. Arriving in District 10 is made much easier. As you guys are coming up on the city, you can see that the main gates that you're flying over, there is caravan lines for days. Like, there are probably people that are just sleeping in line, waiting for their turn to get in on the ground. Of the 3 skyports, all of them have backed up lines of skyships just waiting to get through the customs and border patrol posts. But the Orzhov cathedral ship is escorted by Boros legionnaires past all of these, all the way up to the Bascilla, where it docks. And customs is actually fairly lighter because, you know, Orzhov are the Orzhov. Lucky you guys. Let's see here. Where did I go here? Okay. One of the really awesome things you guys have never seen before is called a millennial platform. It's a huge floating platform above the city that is where most of the skyships are waiting to dock at. This thing is enormous. It's actually chained to the ground by massive chains that take up 3 precincts. It's a giant floating observation deck. It affords the best overhead view in the 10th district. The Katarga probably mentioned that the most exclusive restaurant in the entire city is on that platform. She likes to dine there 4 or 5 times a month, you know, just to do so. Let's see here. Once you guys are docked at the Bascilla, Katarga personally collects you all. She is accompanying you to the refugee center in Precinct 4, which she is going to fill you in on the journey. And I am going to hopefully pop something up on your screen right now. Did that give you all a fun thing to look at?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you can zoom in on that picture, and underneath the picture should be a blurb of information for you to read at your leisure. This will appear in your handout section, but this is the precinct where you will be starting off. So she's talking mostly about the refugee center you're going to. It's been set up at the uppermost edge of District 4, just inside a rubble belt area that used to be called the Red Waste. Until about 5 or 6 years ago, the Red Waste was highly contested between the Gruul squatters and the Boris Legionnaires trying to keep them out of District 10. With the districts falling across the planet, the Gruul have pulled out of that region in favor of helping to raise other weaker districts. So there's a huge initiative here in District 10 to move in and reclaim that territory and actually stand up a new precinct here in the city. Um, Presently, the 10th district, which is this city, has 6 districts. Upon reclaiming the Red Waste, there will be a 7th district. And what better way to find homes and employment than with all the refugees that are coming in? So right now, there is a refugee center set up on the border between the 4th district and the Red Wastes. Construction is there going on around the clock, but all of the refugees are not yet citizens, so they're being held as refugees with the rights and privileges accordingly, which is not to say those are good accommodations at all. Um, let's see here. For the next 3 days, Katargia, when she decides to leave, she does remind you that she's not going to forget her debt because she does still owe you an introduction with someone who can provide employment here in the city. And having gainful employment in the city will expedite your citizenship paperwork, as she highlights for you in parting. However, for the next 3 days, that refugee center is your home, and you're talking super tight, cramped quarters, hundreds of thousands of people that have made their way to this district hoping to find a new home. The bureaucracy behind becoming a citizen is a nightmare. But it's a dry place to sleep. It's relatively safe. You're getting free meals, not the greatest meals, but not Golgari slop either. So meals are meals, right? And you basically spend most of your days in lines, going through, filling out paperwork, waiting for your turns, hoping for the best. You've applied for citizenship. You've applied for work visas. You've applied for housing assignments in the temp homes that they've put up outside of the refugee center, which are still technically in the Red Waste / Precinct 7 construction zone and not. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just have a question regarding the temporary homes. If we all sign that we are willing to live together, will it
Mm-hmm.
expedite us getting a home?
No,
Okay.
the bureaucratic thing here, everyone is being, because that would then be shot underfoot by if one of you got shot down in the process somewhere. So they are not looking to do group applications unless you are a family by law.
Well,
Then they would consider it. But again, said families are in the danger of, if one member of said family unit is declined, the entire family would be declined as well. Much like our current border situations that we've all got to see in the media.
Yeah, which
That was not
hopefully
intentional, and I just saw that connection. Good times,
you just saw that connection.
right? So, on your third day spending your time in this refugee center, you've gotten to know the rules. Technically speaking, you cannot enter 4th District unless you have a pass. And those passes are usually for a couple hours and have to be officialized. So again, the bureaucratic nightmare, if you needed to go into the district for something, to get one of those passes would be a multiple day wait just for a couple hour visit for an official reason, i.e. job hunting, or you need to get a medical service or talk to a vendor about something that's necessary. So you haven't been able to go anywhere except wandering the wastes if you felt so inclined and safe, or hanging out at the refugee center. But on that third day, each of you find on your person, somehow, somewhere, a black business card. On the front of the business card is a name in silver script that reads Jean Sen, which is kind of like Johnson, but spelled very differently. And I'm going to type that in the cool thing here for you once the chat window comes up. So the name on there looks like that, but For those of you looking for the phonetic, yeah, it's Johnson. On the back of this business card is silver script also, but handwritten, and it says, it just has an address for a place called Brickhouse Pies, which is in District 6 at sunset, are the instructions on there. And in your other pockets, or wherever it is you found this card, is also a document that has the Azorius seal that entitles safe passage from District 4 to District 6 for the purpose of this business meeting. So you actually have a signed document that will get you through the various security places to this other district. To give you guys kind of like a picture of what that also entails, because I forgot to do it earlier. This is the giant district that is the city. Did that come up for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the 10th district. The precinct that you just had is on the upper left. Precinct 4 is the one I already showed you.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys see actually the northmost, I guess it's not even really left, it's just straight up to the top. And precinct 6 would be to the bottom left, diagonally. That is where you are being asked to go to meet someone named Johnson in a place called Brickhouse Pies.
Is it really geeky that I actually hope Strix is there?
Strix. Should I know who that is?
Probably not. She's an Acquisition Incorporated actor, D&D stream. She is a trash witch warlock.
So if you shoot me that name later, I do have a good place for someone like that, but that's not where she'll be.
All right, I will text you later.
Okay. So also in your notes, you have the District 10 over here for you to read it later. It's got like a little blurb about every precinct and then the things that you will have learned if you asked around while you were in the refugee center or wandering town, overhearing things, asking things. All of that is common knowledge that you do not have to roll for.
Okay.
Also in there is where you're going, the Precinct 6. You get the nice big overview of that too.
You're so
Oh, I forgot to share that one.
Warehouse, docks, and factories controlled by countless employers.
Mm-hmm. And now we can do this.
There we go.
There we go. I forgot to share that one with everybody. You're squared up now, but same thing. You'll get a blurb about the district and the highlights of the neighborhoods and landmarks. Again, all of that is common knowledge, so you don't have to roll for it. It's stuff you can learn very easily. It's a large city, and there's always people willing to talk about your home and the dangers ahead. But that said, most of that is people's opinions and common knowledge. If someone says something's safe, that doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. If someone says, holy shit, don't go there, it's dangerous, you're looking at people's opinions. So, is everybody going to this meeting? Is anybody not? Sorry, I didn't mean to railroad you.
Well, so I think initially Martine isn't aware everyone else got the card, so she would go to Note and Decca, and in this very crowded area, whisper to them that she got this weird card. I don't know if Galith is nearby, but I know Note and Decca are going to be together.
Yeah, we would be.
Galith probably would have found other minotaurs to hang out with.
Aww.
Racist.
Oh, this is going to be great when we come to find you in a moment.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to make my divination portent rolls for the day.
Sure, go ahead. You can do that whenever you want.
That's terrible. But that's better.
Depends what you want to do with them.
Yeah.
So,
It would just be really substandard.
right?
All right.
You
So,
guys,
yeah, Martine is going to go to Note and Decca and go, I've been really, really itchy, and I'm not entirely sure it's because of the candy canes. This place is really crowded. But I've got this weird black silver script card.
Oh, we got those too.
Oh, okay, good. Maybe we should all go together? And in that case, maybe we should find Galith?
Do you have any idea where he is?
No. But we could look at maybe like some of the engineering areas.
Okay. Yeah.
Engineers tend to stick together. I've
There
run
is
into him a couple of times in the last 3 days, but we kind of
there is
have different specialties.
there is definitely a need for plumbers with all of this number of people using the same shared community spaces.
Yeah.
So if that was something that he was into, being a plumber slash engineer, there is plenty of work to keep him occupied if he so chooses to exercise that.
Yes, he's been doing plumbing work all the time. And when he finds the note, he'll probably be getting off of like a long shift, of, like fixing pipes or setting up waterways or whatever. It's like, huh, I do like pie.
Oh, I love
Yep,
him.
we try and see if we can find him along the way, but head over there as well.
Yeah, I think Martine would know like what section was being worked on because she's not a plumber, but she is an artificer, so she probably would have been working on some of the other things involved. But the things
Yeah.
she would be working on wouldn't be as long hours as what Galeth has been dealing with. I think.
Yeah.
This is going to sound weird, but laying pipe actually takes a lot of time. So I think
That's on the
Martine would
screen
have
now.
a fairly good idea where Galeth would have been working, and we'll head that direction.
Okay.
I can't help but wonder what Decca does with all these innuendos.
There's a separate part of the notebook for them.
Somebody just told him it should be in a separate part. He doesn't realize it.
Probably notes. She's like, oh, just put that in a separate section, like to be explained. And then
It's never explained.
yeah, we'll go over it later. Don't worry. And then we
So he'll just bring it up to random people. Do you know what this means?
Yes. So much yes.
with no context.
So, Galeth, I heard you've been laying a lot of pipe recently.
Yep. Business is good.
Yeah, Gal would be the worst person. That's just very literal. Yes, and
Yeah. No, actually, I think to make this as awkward as possible, Martine would be explaining Galeth has been laying a lot of pipe. It's in this section. Not explaining the difference between the innuendo and actually laying plumbing pipe.
yeah.
And we're gonna go try to find Galeth.
Let's do it.
You find Galeth.
Hi, Gal!
Hello.
And Martine is actually kind of jumping up, trying to get his attention, because I imagine he's surrounded by the other engineers, and Martine is not exactly tall. She's only about 5'6", which is, I think, average? Question mark? I don't know. I'm gonna go with
aquatic elves.
Yeah, she's an aquatic elf. She's around 5'6". She's actually kind of short for a half elf. But she's like jumping up as high as she can, waving her hand amongst the crowd, and yelling out, "Gal! Gal!"
Hello, little friend.
Hey, we got these weird cards. We think maybe you got one too, and we thought we'd all go to the meeting together if possible. And Decca might have some questions for you.
I got a card as well. I would be interested in getting pie.
Pie is good. And then Martine turns to Note, thinking about what it is in pie, and what Note has thus far told her about the candy canes. And will ask Note, is this going to break me trying to not have the candy canes if I have the pie? Or should I just stick to meat pies?
It depends. Are you just trying to break peppermint? Because there might be other types of mint in the pie, and I don't think that counts. I think you're safe.
Okay,
I don't know.
I think it's the peppermint sugar candy cane things that I'm trying
Oh,
to break
this is
myself
fun.
of.
Just don't get a peppermint candy cane pie.
Okay.
which I actually was trying to type a note to note, but for some reason I can't send a whisper to note.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I was going to whisper something to Decca earlier.
It's not working.
I haven't been able to whisper in this game for a while. So every time somebody would whisper to me, I'm like, I can't.
Huh,
Okay,
I thought
so
I just whispered to him.
A GM note that I was going to try and share was that another product of the refugee camp is that there are volunteer doctors around treating patients. And most of them do have dishes of candy out for well-behaved children, which would include candy canes.
Oh yeah, Martine.
I was going to try and just point this out to like note if she's like trying to babysit you and like hide them or actually smuggle them and give them to you. I don't know which way she's going with this, but I was unable to transmit my whisper.
Oh, okay.
Y'all can do with that knowledge what you want. It's out there.
For the whisper, just real quick, try to whisper, but put Decca in first instead
I did.
of Chris.
Oh, like Decca/W?
No, just like
Either
W
way. I tried both.
and then Decca.
I've tried both because I found, especially for some reason with Terry's character, sometimes it has to be Terry, sometimes it has to be Full Moon, sometimes it has to be AE Full Moon. Like now it's working.
So the Deca check Chris is working.
Yeah, try /W space Decca.
Yeah, no, it's working now. It just wasn't before.
I don't have an explanation, but for Martine, she is genuinely doing her best to avoid candy canes. In like trying to take someone to one of these doctors, as soon as she saw the candy canes, she probably would have like go on without me and turned around and like run to Note. Like she honestly thinks she's addicted to them, and she's having problems with the physiological things that are involved with that, not the actual. So I will explain it this way. For someone that smokes a cigarette, from what I've understood, is there is a lot of social or physiological triggers for it.
There's an oral fixation for it.
Yeah, it's an oral fixation. And currently that is what Martine is dealing with, and she doesn't understand that it's not a chemical addiction as well.
Right.
Yet.
Note would try and give you something else for that fixation, like shut up with your. I was gonna avoid that pun. She'd try to give you something like pretzel sticks, or something else to occupy you, or maybe unflavored gum. The typical things that smokers will try and use.
All right, she will probably try the pretzel sticks, which them being salty instead of sweet might help with this.
Okay. Right, and it looks like all the whispers are working now. So whatever Chester did to try and stop us from communicating with each other,
I was complaining that I couldn't communicate with you discreetly.
We defeated you.
Like the GM can't pass a whisper note to people. This is just ridiculous. How can I?
Text us on the. Oh well, you can't because I'm on mute. But
Oh, I could. I didn't think of that. I want to use this interface and this one alone.
yes.
Okay, so you guys have candy canes or not, whatever. You found Galith. Greetings have been exchanged before we got derailed. Proceed.
On our way there. That's it.
Okay, y'all are going?
Unless anybody has anything else to do.
Okay.
In my free time, I've been working on my pet projects, including the guns that Scott's character was requesting.
Okay.
And
That
my
will be.
very special project.
Just keep in mind that that's challenging given the space constraints,
Yeah.
but not impossible. If
No, I'm just working on the small parts in these spaces. The really, really small parts.
Okay.
Detail work.
Right.
Lovely.
Okay. So as you guys work your way through District 4, you're stopped multiple times to have your paperwork checked. The patrols are clearly looking to ensure that refugees are not getting past security checkpoints and going places they're not allowed to go. By all accounts, it looks like your paperwork is in order. The Boros Legionnaires tend to be stern, but fair, and when they vet the paperwork, they are very polite about sending you on your way. No one really gives you any grief or like stern glances, like you have valid reasons for being there and you are sent on your merry way because they are very law-abiding. It takes longer than you would have thought to get from Precinct 4 to Precinct 6. You've seen the maps, and there are other maps around because it's actually a pretty nice city. Information like that is up for people to not get lost because no one wants to have to explain to people how to get places. So you're able to pass the map markers, the big "You are here" arrows, and get to your destination. So when you get to Precinct 6, asking around, the Burke House is actually a fairly well-known restaurant. When you get there, it is. I could not find a picture I was happy with, so you guys just get my description. A delightful and oddly windowless brick building. The bricks are all colors of the rainbow in no discernible pattern or organization whatsoever. Basically, utter chaos. The bricks were just put up in every color you can imagine. The building's interior belies the neighborhood, which is a little on the sketch side, and is a very fine-looking establishment. The kind of place you might take a girl or a boy on for a third date, or possibly even an anniversary dinner. The maitre d' engages the party as they enter, clearly expecting them, and he doesn't even look twice at what you're wearing or what you're carrying. He just says that you've been expected. Please follow him. He leads you through the restaurant, which is, again, very nice, like white linen table covers and all of that jazz. You can definitely tell you are underdressed for this establishment. The maitre d' didn't care, but some of the patrons are definitely looking down their noses at you.
My robe looks nice.
Yeah. They're still looking down at you. At the floor's far side are a series of wall booths, each of which has a privacy screen. It looks kind of fabric-y, but it's definitely not fabric. It's actually probably pretty interesting to anyone who's into like textiles and fabrics and all that jazz. The maitre d' stops in front of it and does not touch it. He actually reaches above it, and there's like a little gemstone up there that's transparent, and he touches it, and it flashes silvery, and then he waits, and he waits. It's a very long feeling, maybe 2 minutes, but the light eventually flashes green, and he opens the curtain, and you can't really see inside, but he gestures that you should go ahead and enter.
Okay, I'll go in.
Okay. You go in, and you feel somewhat like a slight sense of vertigo. Your feet don't leave the ground. Like, you firmly feel the ground like under your foot, like as you step through, but there's like a slight sense of vertigo as you pass through what you thought was just darkness, and all of a sudden you are outside, and there is kind of like a haze in the sky. So you all saw Note with feet into the darkness, and then it just looks like she went into a dark room, and like the light doesn't go in for enough for you to see where she went.
I go in.
You go in also?
Yeah.
You have that same feeling of vertigo, just as an FYI. Your feet are definitely on the ground. You don't feel like you're actually falling. It's disorienting for a little bit, and then almost blinding light because it's not dark where you're at. Like, it's actually very well lit. Like, you are outdoors and the sun is up. Oh crap! I have to move a ribbon for you guys. So for those of you who have gone through, you actually find yourself here, looking at a completely different establishment than the one that you just walked through to get here.
Wow, this looks crappy.
Let's say, what happened to this really nice brick building that I totally would have gone to?
Right?
Martine, dusts herself off completely
Okay.
and stands completely tall and looks very haughty at the people that are looking daggers at her and Gal, and snakes her arm in the crook of Gal's arm, looks up at him and goes, "Shall we?" And so long as he starts walking with her, walks with him into the darkness.
Nice.
Oh yeah, once she starts to move, he'll follow along.
As the others, there is a distinct sense of vertigo. It might be a little bit worse for Martine right now, who's combating her sugar addictions. Up to her. I'll let her decide that one. And now you find yourself outside. You can see the twin sons of Ravnica in the distance, which are up, which is odd because at the 10th district, the suns were setting because it was night. So that might give you a good idea of just how far away you are from where you were like 4 steps ago. And then in the distance ahead of you, you see a whole other restaurant, which looks to have been built out of the ruins of a skyship.
Martine vomits off to the side.
At least not on Gal.
No, she like feels it, turns, and just like stumbles and vomits on the ground.
What did we walk through? Is there like a
Yeah.
doorway behind us?
Yeah.
So if you turn around,
Yeah.
you do see that there is hovering in the air a gemstone that matches the one that was on the other side. It is currently glowing red.
Is it just floating in the air? It's not
Yeah.
adhesive.
No, it's floating in the air at the exact same height as the one that was on the other side.
What would happen if I reached up to try and grab it?
You would have to reach up and try and grab it and see.
I'll ask Deca first because he knows magic-y stuff.
Can I do a check?
Yeah.
Sure. Roll an Arcana check.
Note may not have the best self-preservation instincts, but she certainly knows, oh, it's magic. I'll ask Deca.
Mm-hmm.
At least figured that out. No?
Wow. Yeah, Deca, you absolutely know that those are keyed portal keys. They are connected to each other so that when it's green, a doorway will appear and you can walk through. Ideally, you mount these to an arch. So the one on the other side was mounted to the actual curtain for a private booth, which served as the entry point for the portal. This side, not having a mount, you're not entirely sure if it can even be activated from this side because there's not like a doorway for it to activate with, if that makes sense.
Great. I explained that we might be stuck.
Can I try and grab it then? See if we can put it on something later?
You can try. Would you like to grab it?
Well, I'm asking Deca.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought
Do
you
I know if it can be grabbed?
Yeah.
I mean, it's physical. It's there.
Well, I meant like, okay, I'll do it, but if I do it, I tell Deca, I want to try and grab it and bring it with us to see if we can use it later, but I don't want to lose you, so hold my hand.
All right, so I
Okay.
hold her hand.
And then I reach up to try and grab it.
Okay. It moves. It stays glowing red, but you now have a gemstone about yay big in your hand that glows red,
I put it in my pocket.
which is now a door.
Martine is going to finish wiping her mouth and look up at you. And I don't know if she actually noticed you grab it. Probably not, because she's got actually a really low passive perception. And she looks around and goes, Where are we? Where's the exit?
I don't
Is that
know
where we are supposed to have the meeting?
I don't know where we are, but we could go over there to try and find out, and maybe they'll know how to get us back, because it's supposed to be this gem, but yeah, I don't know. Let's go find out.
Are you going to have people coming out of your pants?
I really hope not. That's the point, though. Instead of having it in my pocket, can I just hold the gem very discreetly in my hand?
Sure.
So that if it starts to glow green, like Deca told me, I cannot have that be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Good point. I did have the thought too that it's a shame that peppermint is your issue, because if you're nauseous, I would have normally offered you peppermint tea, but now I can't do that. So
Yeah. Now
sorry.
it's going to have to be ginger tea at this point.
Yeah, I don't think I would have that on me.
No, ginger's a little bit less common to have.
Especially when the GM is allergic to ginger and therefore it doesn't exist on this world.
I'm going to have to remember that anytime any of the other groups go to Ravnica. Ginger just doesn't exist.
Doesn't
Much
exist.
good food is with ginger.
Man, this food's really good, but it feels like it's missing something.
Yeah, right. The Indian restaurant is just not the tarmac is just not good enough.
Okay. So yeah, we'll head to that
Okay.
hovel.
So you head to the place and it looks like a diner. Like there is a bar, there's stools, lots of chrome inside, highly polished. There's a jukebox in there playing some jaunty tunes. The patrons of this place are much seedier looking. Actually, you blend in much better here. Like,
Gal,
and like it actually looks like a place that, you know, if some place you want to go where everyone knows your name, like this looks like that kind of place, except for it's in the middle of the nowhere and you're not sure how you got here. There is a smorgasbord of races.
Okay, it's not like
Nope.
okay.
Like definitely people from all sorts of places.
Okay.
den of scum and villainy, if you will.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gallic will go straight up to the counter, get the waitress's attention, and ask what kind of pie they have at the moment.
You get like the biggest smile in the world. Like, I love Lucy, like, hey, hon. And she's like wiping off her hands on her apron and she puts it down. And she comes over with the menu and she says, well, we do have a lot of pies, but I would just recommend that you not get one until it's time to go because you want to make sure that pie's fresh. If you're in your meeting for a long time, honey, I don't want that kind of quality to make my pie not taste as good to you.
Martine actually pokes her head around Gal and says, does that mean we're not allowed to eat the pie during the meeting?
Oh, I mean, you could. It might be seen a little rude, That's
We don't want to be rude.
Okay.
Immediately, no, we don't want to be rude at all. Where should we go for our meeting? We'll get pie later, I promise. Where are we going?
So she points to the far back corner where there is a booth that looks identical to the one that was in the fancy restaurant with the same kind of curtain across it.
Okay.
She says, he's waiting for you back there.
We'll go over there.
Is there a jewel on it?
Yeah.
Could I get a pie for the meeting and a pot of coffee?
Oh, sure, dear. And she continues handing you the menu she almost handed you. And the pies are numbered. There are about 128 types of pie on this list.
Rude. Don't be rude. We can eat after the meeting.
But coffee and pie during a meeting sound amazing.
Look how sad he looks, though.
Can I try and persuade them?
They're your friends.
There's 128 different pies. How can we not have a pie during the meeting?
No.
I actually feel like I have to make a note that I said there were 128 flavors now.
And one of them is going to be peppermint. We all know that.
Yep. Okay. Will Note be able to convince you guys to save the pies for later because it's extremely rude and she cares about these social and cultural niceties? Can she convince you that if she buys you the pie after the meeting, we'll stay as long as it takes to finish it, we can really savor it, try a couple of different pies, just not during the meeting?
You could probably definitely convince Martine of that. Especially if Note's paying and is offering several different pies for us to try.
Gal?
I'll wait.
But we can have, like, coffee, right? Is that rude?
I'm sure that they'll have coffee available for us, yeah. Because what kind of meeting doesn't have coffee? That would be rude.
They don't have
Bad
pie.
meeting wouldn't have coffee.
Well, she's not getting a Christmas cane pie. Wait, how's there Christmas here? There can't be a Christmas here.
Because Christmas is magical and transcends all worlds.
What about Hanukkah?
Just because it's called a Christmas cane
No.
doesn't mean that your character knows what Christmas is. I'm just letting you know there's something on there called Christmas cane pie.
There is probably also a pie very similar to the Christmas cane pie that is called Hogswitch.
Yes.
Pork pie and cherry?
Oh,
Can I-
pretty much everything you can think of is probably on this list.
I have a request. Since there's 128 types of pie, can there be one that's made by like a special traveling guest chef called Dahlia?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you a recipe later.
Sure.
For Christmas pies, there's also a Kwanzaa pie, but nobody really knows what it's in it
Yep.
or what it's about.
Whatever's nearby, and they dump it in the pie and just chuck it at you. Wait.
Okay.
Pies
Okay.
not
So-
supposed
You guys can take the menus with you as you go to your meeting, by the way, so you can think about what you're getting afterwards as a reward for good behavior.
Okay.
When you do get to that, the booth is completely out of place because it looks like it belongs in the other restaurant, but
Right.
here it is in this diner. There is a large minotaur standing outside of it who gives Galeth the up down, but doesn't say anything. And
How aggressive is the up down?
it's more of just like a snooty, because this guy's armed. Like, he looks like he's ready for a fight, not like he's armed, armor, giant battle axe on his back, big old nose ring. Like he's more of the rough sort of minotaur, not the educated engineer that Galeth is, who I hope we didn't lose because I was enjoying that was going to be a thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So while he is reconnecting or whatever he is needing to do, can I do an insight check that if Galeth had like a giant weapon,
Mm-hmm.
if this would go better?
Sure, you can roll it.
This is not going to be good. Oh no.
What's happening? My internet keeps
So
cutting.
yeah, we fell. Sorry. There's a fairly large minotaur standing outside of the booth on guard duty. He is very well armed and armored, and he gave you like an up down that was somewhat maybe dismissive, slight disdainful, but he doesn't say anything. It was just like a noticeable. You see him just give you as a fellow minotaur an up down. And Martine is doing an insight check to determine if she feels arming you somehow, realistically or illusorily, I'm not sure, might change that level of interaction. And yeah, Martine, you think that he might respect Galith a lot more if he weren't carrying a giant wrench in a toolbox and wearing
Alright,
cover.
so Martine is going to reach into her bag of holding and pull out the lightning glaive and hand it to Gal and say, just hold this, and look menacing.
Now, is that in the same hand as your giant wrench or your toolbox? Or did you like, how are you juggling this?
Toolbox is like clamped underneath one arm, and I've got the wrench there now.
Well,
Nice.
no, Martine would like hand it to the wrench hand and take your wrench and put the wrench over her shoulder.
Trade.
It's a very heavy wrench.
Okay, I don't know if you want me to do a strength check then, or if I should just drop it right into the bag of holding.
Well, how big is Martine?
About 5'6"-ish.
My
I don't know,
height.
Galith, how big is that wrench? If she's 5'6", does she think that she's going to struggle with it?
It might be a Siwa's
It's
wrench.
a big wrench on a minotaur.
Yeah, so...
I don't have like a set size for it. It's just a big
probably-
fucking wrench.
Several feet, probably, right?
So
Yeah,
I am
W.
actually imagining the Siwa's wrench used to take off the gigantic bolts holding it on to the ship, which means that she tries to grab it, realizes it's too heavy for her, and it goes straight into the bag of holding.
Okay, I was going to say, are we about to relive an actual Becca story from holding said wrench? And
Well, no, the stories of me holding that wrench, because during the time frames I was working on Seawiz, I was actually super fit, were people looking at me walking down the passageway towards the Seawiz with this gigantic fucking wrench, and then, like, looking terrified that something horrible was going down.
Why did she have a giant fucking wrench?
Oh, we lost James again.
Aww.
Well, we're going to just go ahead and streamline that encounter a little bit since you keep dropping. Welcome back in. The Minotaur actually does give a grunt of approval at seeing the weapon choice and kind of looks at all of you now and says, "You're expected." And he moves across the strange fabric. And now this time you actually do see a very... Yes?
Was there a gem or no?
No.
Okay. I'm
So
good.
when he opens up the curtain this time, you actually do see the inside of what that booth should look like.
Okay.
And inside, you see one person that you recognize. Crap, that's right. I made it a handout, so I have to bring it up somewhere
I
else.
love your obsession with the handouts. It's so fun.
I really like visuals, as you know from the tabletop. Like I like to do stuff like that. So
I'm going to do that
I'm
too.
going to give you inside here. You see your hosts, one of which is Katarga in a very revealing, oh so sexy dress, sitting next to a gentleman with slick black hair, and behind him are two very attractive women in black leather bodysuits. You guys should have a nice picture that looks somewhat familiar for the nerds there.
Oh yeah, this looks very familiar.
It's a very good scene in that movie. I'm a big fan of her. So,
I wonder why.
so this is what you see waiting for you in the booth, and the gentleman who you have assumed is the one on the card, Johnson, actually gestures for you to sit while he squeezes extra olives into his drink. And Katarga is the woman there who you met before, but she looks much more put up now. If you recall before, she looked kind of, dirty and adventurous, like she'd been working all day. Now she is clearly all decked out to the nines.
I'll take a seat right across from him.
As you sit, he goes, my 2-for-1s, brilliant. Well done, Katarga. And he kind of lets you all see it.
Yeah,
And he-
Martine will go, you want to switch back, Gal?
Hmm?
I just need a little bit of help getting your wrench up. It just seemed like a Minotaur thing, and I didn't want... Just...
Okay. Takes the wrench, hands back the glaive.
Glaive goes back in. It's awkward interaction before we sit down.
Clearly.
Like Blue Johnson's face is like a mix of like can't decide if he should find this humorous or not, and Katarga's just totally trying to look utterly professional, like like film-based.
What can I see through that attempt at being professional, though? Because there's something
Katarga?
else. Is it amusement or is it like embarrassment? Because
Roll an insight check.
okay.
So with these two, you are invited to roll insight checks whenever you want because they are both. Yeah, this is a very social encounter.
Okay.
Oh no.
You're pretty sure that she's borderline embarrassed at the moment.
I take small personal joy in that, but keep it to myself. Try to be
She's
nice.
just going to have to get used to it if she's going to be around our party.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, come on, I gotta have a sense of humor. Okay. So yeah. Hi. Are you? What was it? John
Johnson.
Jensen.
Johnson.
Hi. Are you Jen?
Am I what?
I don't know. What did you say? Is it Johnson or Jensen?
Johnson. You can call me
You're
Johnson.
doing that on purpose.
I don't know what you mean. And he actually lifts his martini glass up and takes a nice, good draught of it, and just puts on like one of the biggest, fakest smiles you could possibly imagine. Like he's the cat that got the mouse.
Is there a
Martine will
drink-
go, Johnson. That looks like a very dirty martini. Is it appropriate for all of us to order that or not?
Oh, I
Oh,
was just typing. If there's a
like he gets like
I already-
super dirty looking, and he's like, "If you like it dirty, you're encouraged to order whatever you like." And Katarga like almost snort. Like you could tell, like she almost snorts, but she like totally professional composures herself again.
It's like, okay, then I'll have what you're having, but just a little dirtier. And whoever I have to order that from, I order it from.
Oh no, he literally just goes like this, and like he acts like his bidding is happening. Like someone behind you is probably now taking care of that.
Okay. I'll turn to look at Deca if he wants anything to drink.
Sure, get me whatever. I will try anything.
Gallus, now that he's sitting down, is just kind of reading over the menu, not really paying attention.
Looking for pies. Very nice.
God, there's so many choices. How am I
He
supposed
came with a purpose.
Yes, he did.
We have come here to solve a murder and have some pies, not necessarily in that order.
Gallus will look up. There was a murder?
Are you saying that out loud? Because Jonathan will
No.
actually look genuinely confused for a minute.
No, out of character.
No, this is in character, and Martine goes, that was kind of a joke. It probably should have been, we are here for business and pies, not necessarily in that order, but it was a joke.
I will put that in my section of jokes. Okay, later.
Rapidly flipping.
Business and pies.
Johnson just kind of very well. Katarga failed to mention that my 2-for-1s actually had senses of humor. I may have chosen for a different environment for this meeting had I but known.
I can't imagine how she missed the sense of humor. It's all right here. And a gesture at all of us.
Resting bitch face does not lighten at all.
I'm not saying this for her.
I would like to do an insight
You know
check
what you're
on
seeing.
whether or not she is actually pissed off at us at this point, or somewhat
Well-
amused.
Roll that insight check.
I will too. Damn it. I don't notice. I'm just proud that I said it.
Yeah.
10.
So you'll remember that at one point she did mention when you guys first entered your agreement with her for returning to District 10 as part of her debt to you, that she had a contact who was perhaps the most well-connected talent scout in the city.
Mhm.
So this is reflecting on her now, this entire interaction.
Okay, so Martine is going to go ahead and at this point say, we are terribly sorry to attempt to lighten this mood so much. We have been stuck in very cramped quarters for a while, and perhaps we are trying to unwind a little more than we should. We actually do have very good talents, as of course why. Oh crap, I've blanked on her name again.
Katarga.
Katarga has brought us to you. Thank you for dealing with our shenanigans.
Yes, the refugee center. I flew over that recently. That does not look nice at all. But
Nope.
on the bright side, if you kids stick with me, I'll get you out of there far sooner than the bureaucracy could get you out of there.
What have you brought us here for?
Hmm.
You said 2 for 1.
And he does like the almost kind of like Gallus, but definitely more the smug cat. And he just kind of turns to Katarga and he says, "Dear, if you don't mind, I'd like to conduct the next portion of business with my potential employees." At which point, resting bitch face just kind of like the chin kind of goes up and she inclines her head and she goes, "By all means." And as she stands up, she's definitely like
On purpose.
throwing the cleavage out, but not for him, for all of you. Like she's just like showing off her assets and just reinforcing her superiority in her head.
So
And
Nope.
she walks away, it's total sachet.
So
Like
here's the
she
great part about this. Martine would lean towards Note and go, I bet she's got real back problems, and that's why she's in so much pain.
And I will whisper to Note, she looks like those ladies of the night that you pointed me towards the other day.
ladies of the night. Oh,
Note, here's both of these, and I'm stifling the giggles, but I want to try and channel the most motherly, like, oh, you dear, look, smile, like, polite, not, but, very clearly, like, aww, as she leaves.
very good. So after she's going by, the Minotaur standing guard outside, he kind of pops his head in, looks at the boss, Johnson, and Johnson gives the nod, and the curtain goes closed so that privacy is now there in theory. Oh, the two girls behind in black leather, they followed Katarga.
I was just going to ask about them, like,
They're with her.
there.
You actually get the impression that they're actually with her, not him.
Mm.
So, that all happens there. Johnson starts with, so first I'd like to describe 2 for 1 because I feel like it might be rude to call you that without explaining it. So you see, Katarga owed you a significant debt, and clearly it must have been significant. I didn't ask for the details, but if she was willing to put her reputation on the line to introduce you to me, that's no small favor. On the flip side, she owed me a debt, and I have a lot of jobs on my table and am constantly looking for the right talent to do the right jobs. You, and he gestures to the 4 of you, are actually perfect for a very specific job I have in mind. That is, if you're looking for work. I mean, if you'd rather sit in the the refugee center and await your citizenship applications, I completely understand.
It would depend on the job. Just really honest.
Well,
And
also,
the-
I thought we were screwed with the citizenship paperwork because we weren't part of any of the guilds.
I'm assuming that's the
that would definitely expedite your speed getting out of there if you were an actual established member of the guilds. And I will say that working for me can also open such doors. In case you didn't know, I'm affiliated not with any of the guilds, but all of the guilds are somewhat affiliated with me, as they come to me for favors and odd jobs that they don't want on the books. It's kind of my speciality. As such, a good reference or letter of introduction from me could streamline that as well. Now, the reason the 4 of you are explicitly important to a certain job I have, and he actually pulls out a small fist-sized skull with gems for eye stones and sets it on the table. And then he pulls out a small vial that has like a little it looks almost like a little miniature tornado inside. And he pulls out a wand and he kind of spins it above the vial and he pulls it out. For those of you who watched Harry Potter, when they pull the memory out of their head, he's basically pulling out an encoded memory from this vial. He kind of swirls it around like and then taps it to the skull and it goes into the little fist-sized skull. The lights of the lights flicker in little gemstone's eyes and it projects an image in 3D in front of you all. What
So
you see is somebody's point of view. It takes a couple seconds to like kind of orient yourself to it because it's. I mean, you're looking at the other side at someone else's POV, so like the angles are kind of weird and disorienting. But what you see is the crew compartment where all the passengers were on the Shadow Dancer. You actually see yourselves when you first arrived at the ship, and you first actually when you actually came in there for the first time after takeoff.
Mhm.
You see some of the other passengers, the Gorgon from earlier. You see the dwarf. You see the face actually looks left at one point, and you see the other law mage, which tips you into whose point of view you're looking through now, and a blur where the prisoner was.
Okay.
A blur.
A blur.
Mhm.
The image starts to fast forward of all the interactions that happened in the cabin. There's no audio. This is all 100% just visual. And it gets to the point later on where the ship takes a tumble and Note goes flying and lands across the POV. Like literally you get like a very ungraceful view of your chest, like barely crossed.
Uh-huh.
And you see like his arm like goes like this, like he was trying to get you off when Dekka like
Yeah.
he was just trying to like ease you off, and then when Dekka landed on top, like his gauntlet just like smashes into the back of your head accidentally, and like he's
Yeah.
like trying to get it out. Like this just reinforces what you suspected. He was actually trying to get it out, but he keeps like looking because he sees the blur take off,
Yeah.
which is the prisoner. And then as you are finally off, you see him running, which is really disorienting, down the passageway after another law mage.
Right.
And they get to the back and they're looking out a porthole. They pass Galith. they are looking out the porthole and they see the escape pod drifting away.
Right.
And you see him look at the other law mage, and you can tell without hearing that there are explicatives coming out of that other law mage's face.
Okay.
The images kind of flicker to an end, and he taps the skull. The lights go dim. He kind of swirls around and pulls the mirror back out, puts it in the vial,
Right.
puts it back in his pocket, picks up the skull, puts that back in the other pocket, and he leans forward like this. And he says, "Obviously, that was you on the ship."
Yeah, why was the goblin prisoner a blur?
So, as a matter of safe practice, when the law mages are transporting prisoners from one prison to another, as was the case, they shield them from scrying and divination magics on the off chance someone were to want to do a rescue attempt.
And this recording was a divination magic.
It was, but it wasn't. This is an extracted memory from the law mage,
Right.
not focused on the blur itself.
Okay.
But it enabled me to see who else was in the compartment that would have seen the prisoner. And I have it under good authority that this prisoner was Krenko, a certain goblin of quite infamous repute who you may have heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, it was him.
In this district, there are maybe 8 people total, counting the 4 of you, who have seen Krenko's face in over 15 years. Krenko is now loose in my district. Pretty much everyone would like their hands on him. He goes on to explain there. I lost it. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of my notes by winging things. It's a good time.
Sorry, not sorry.
Right?
So, are you wanting us to, like, I don't know, trap him in a skull or something? Do you have a skull that we can do that?
No. And I'm not even saying necessarily that I want him captured. The Azoria Senate would love him to stand trial for his crimes, specifically in District 54's collapse, as he was a pivotal feature in destabilizing the situation there. The Boros definitely want him dead before he can do the same or worse here. The word is the Silencia have dispatched trackers of their own to find and eliminate him. However, you have an edge in that they've never seen him, and to many of those elves, one goblin is the same as another. A handful of rival goblin gangs from his youth. For if you didn't know, Krenko actually got his start as a mob boss here in District 10. Some of his old rivals are not keen to see him returning to try and take back what once was his, if such is his intention. Even Javin, Katarga's brother, has expressed interest in appropriating this goblin. That's why I asked her to leave. You see, while I said that the guilds are affiliated with me, I have no preference for who wins in any such struggles. That's what makes me unique.
Right.
In doing this job, I would allow you to decide the final disposition of Krenko, living or dead, to whom he gets handed over to, because that, along with my own recommendation, could forge fantastic relations for you with one guild or another. That's assuming that you all wanted to give it to the same guild, because obviously, if you give it to one and it's found out, that could lead to ramifications with others and other such nonsense. Or there are unaffiliated parties who would also be interested in his retrieval that would get you credit with my people. Either way, you would be getting letters of recommendation for me upon a successful mission, because no matter who he goes to, I win.
So what precisely are you looking to hire us to do? Just retrieve him in whichever manner we decide.
Yes. I am giving you a lot of latitude because I'm curious to see what you do with it.
Well, would you give us just a moment then, amongst the four of us?
Oh, you'd like me to leave my booth?
No, actually, I would like you to politely pretend not to listen.
Oh, yes, yes. We can talk payment after you've done whatever it is you're going to do. And he like sits back and like throws an arm over where Katarga used to be, and
Now,
takes and just looks up into the
Yeah.
corner like he's not even paying attention to you.
I am hoping around this time frame our martinis arrive.
Yeah, right.
Sure. We'll have the outside Minotaur kind of duck his head in and say, "Oh, well, their drinks are here," and he just, by all means, and a server comes in. It's the same lady from the bar with the pie menu, so she brings in like a tray, like all up. Hey, honeys, which is completely not in line with this booth and what's going on, or even what's on the tray.
I love it.
She slowly slides them across the table so as not to spill any. And then she like takes the tray down and she hugs it to her chest again, completely out of place for this kind of establishment inside the booth, and says, "You guys been thinking about them pies?"
Absolutely.
Definitely order
Having a few after this meeting is done. We're still deciding on which few we're going to have.
There are so many good ones we haven't decided yet. Well, as soon as we do.
Okay, then, darling.
Through the menu.
After, and she looks at Jonathan and she says, "And don't you forget, we have a conversation later too." And then she steps out and the curtain closes behind her.
I love her.
Our
Can-
insight was 13 and 16, by the way.
Yeah.
For what? Sorry.
Just
What are
how
we inputting?
honest he's being with everything and what he may be withholding.
You can't get any kind of a read off of this guy.
Okay.
Like,
So,
hold on. Like to the point where it's odd that you can't get anything off of this guy. Like his face is too perfectly practiced. Like this is clearly a professional
Yeah.
that could sway any room in any way. Like he's not just pretty to look at. He knows he is, and he knows how to contort his face in all the right ways. He's giving off no tells. And actually, if any of you would like to roll some kind of knowledge check, I don't even know what skill would be best for that.
you could just do a straight intelligence check if you didn't.
Sure, you know what? Throw down some intel. You know what? I'll even allow perception checks.
Oh.
I'll go with intelligence or wisdom. You'll get different things if you get above my DC for either.
All right, I'm going to do straight intelligence because I'm
Okay.
shit at perception.
Sure.
Nothing.
After this is resolved, but before we all start talking,
Mhm.
I don't, since I've never had a spellcaster, prestidigitation. Can I do that for just some like light distracting music in the background if there isn't some already, just to up the odds of him not paying attention?
That's covered in prestidigitation. Yep.
Got it. Okay, so
Elevator music.
Right. So
just like
what let's see here. No, you're actually fairly confident that he is not human.
okay.
Galith you're fairly confident that his face is too perfect, as in it might not be his actual face.
Oh, what?
Changeling, maybe? Becca,
I didn't
not
say it, but
Martine.
yeah. Becca, yes.
Martine,
Everyone else is kind of still in the dark.
he's just
There's
pretty.
there's like enough hints that something's not quite human there, but yeah, that is the real factor. But
Okay.
So what Martine would like to say once we are ready is, so
to
I
each
want,
other, right?
yeah, to each other.
Okay.
Kind of quiet still, but I have an interest in going to the Izits. However, if we're going to do this and we can't agree on a path, I would suggest we do it his way, where it's not part of one of the guilds we are interested
He
in. That
didn't have
way, we are not fighting against each other for one or the other.
I don't think the fighting against each other will be a problem, but he didn't have a preference. I would say if we don't agree on a guild, which personally I'm uninterested at the moment, I may become interested later, but I mean, we could just take on this job and see how it develops, and who knows, we may have to kill the guy along the way, so we can't give him to anybody anyway, and we'll still get the letter of recommendation.
Decca, Galith, do you have a preference? Like, I am totally on board with what Note said. So we take the job and we see how it goes. But if you have a strong preference to trying to get in with one of the guilds, it would be good to know which guilds we want to get in with. That way, if the opportunity presents itself while we are hunting him down, we can do that.
We are all, it seems, a little more intellectually inclined, so I think that's why Note's not super worried about it. But
And honestly, the two super chaotic characters are
they're gone!
are off somewhere right now.
We could get this shit done without them.
Decca would go to whatever guild Note goes to, so Decca doesn't really care.
How about Galith? Really quick, if he's still looking at the menu, I'll just tap him on the shoulder or maybe on top of the menu. Like, do you know anything about the guilds? Are you interested at all in them?
So long as I have work, I'm happy.
Sounds like a plan, sorry. And I'll kind of push the menu back up so he can continue looking.
Okay, well, in that
He's
case,
reading kind of slowly, finger trailing across each word.
All the ingredients. There is going to be misplaced amongst the dessert pies, but it's like a jerky and cheddar pie, and it's Dahlia's. I put the link in there earlier, but it was either that or a ginger pie, and I don't want the DM to be mad at me. So
Doesn't exist.
It's
It
just
does.
a pie shell with ginger in it. That's it.
There's actually a deific field
just
around
slice
it.
of ginger, the whole cake.
Support it.
No other anything. It's just the crust and slices of ginger. But anyway. Yeah. Child, what are you doing? Don't look at my cat.
in that case,
My cat's being sassy. Sorry.
either way, this is probably going to sadly be the quicker route out of the refugee camp.
Yeah. And we may learn interesting things. I mean, I'm not really learning anything in this refugee camp. Most of the cultures are things I already encountered. So I'm good for some exploring.
All right. Well, I guess we should let him know that yes, we are on board with taking this job and trying to hunt this down for him.
All right. So I'll turn out of our little huddle back to Mr. Fancy Pants. We're willing to not negotiate. What's the term I'm trying? Sorry, what am I trying to think of?
Discuss
We're
terms.
willing to discuss terms. Thank you.
He actually watches you pause and says discuss. Like he wants to help you.
No, please don't. Not in character. I'm just
Help you do it in character. Totally. It was awesome.
please. I want to clarify that this is what I've eaten today. It's not true. I had a piece of chocolate. Leave me alone. Don't, please.
Are you on a semi-fast right now?
No, I forgot about food. I had a piece of chocolate, but I forgot. I forgot I was working. And I got 3 emails from my publisher last night, and then that was last night, like 1 a.m, and then I got another one this morning, and it's gotten complicated. It's not bad. There's just a lot now. And then I forget to eat.
Nope, I feel you. When I am super busy with something that I am interested in or passionate about, I forget to eat too.
Yes, it's not just me, and that wasn't a character. That's not canon.
Okay. So fine, you turn around and say you'd like to discuss terms.
That's you.
So at that point, Mr. Johnson smiles and he actually says, I'll do you a favor and make the first offer. And he pulls out a small, like, bar napkin, like that was sitting on the table, that has a ring on one side from Katarga's glass that she took with her. So he turns it over to the other side, and he actually pulls a pen out from his jacket
Oh,
and clicks it, like
ballpoint.
an actual ballpoint pen, and clicks it. And he proceeds to write on there, like, this is a contract. He says, in exchange for Cranko to be disposed of as you dictate, I am willing to offer, this is I, Johnson, am willing to offer, and he puts on there 4 Boros minted 5 Xeno coins, which, if you don't remember the handout, which you have, uh, each of those coins are worth 20 gold pieces each. So he's offering you 80 gold, a deed to a nice house in the new 7th district.
How many rooms enough for everybody?
He's still writing. You can ask questions after.
Okay, sorry.
Introductions and letters of recommendation to any guild of your choosing, which he actually pauses and says, if you're like reading along, he says, is significant. And then he will say, and any incidentals that you find whilst pursuing Krenko are yours to find and keep.
I have 2 quick clarification questions.
And he kind of sits back with his pen and clicks it off and sets it on the table in front of him and says, proceed.
First one is about those letters of recommendation.
Mhm.
In the possibility that we decide that maybe we don't all want to go to the same guild, will those introduction letters be available on an individual basis rather than only as a collective? I would like options for both.
Yes, but do keep in mind that the disposition of Krenko could influence any one of them.
Yes. Okay.
I'm just letting you know your decisions are yours to make.
Right. My second question, the house, how many rooms and what kind of insurance does it have? We are all a little experimental. Some of us more than others. Kind of gentle head nod towards Martine.
I would be willing to have my architect friend consult with you on the specifics of this house upon arrangement, but I can guarantee you it will be more than adequately sufficient for the 4 of you.
Sounds good to me. Look at everybody one by one. Is Galliff paying attention or is he reading?
He'll be paying attention at this point. It's a work contract. It's something he understands.
Yeah. Good with that. Okay. What does everybody think? Ray doesn't get a couch. Ray just he's running around like a streaker.
He doesn't know anything about Ray or
Crawl.
Crawl.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's up to you guys if you'd like to mention that there are 2 more in your party or not.
We said the
I
full
assume
house.
they're dead.
Crawl came with you guys. Crawl came with you guys to District 10.
No, he didn't. I thought he went off with Ray.
I will do a quick recap. Something Terry texted me today. Sorry.
Got it.
He will likely have assured you that he's confident that Ray is okay and alive, and he's got like a doll that has strips of Ray's hair like stripped to the top of it.
Oh,
That it looks like a voodoo doll probably because it's Crawl, and it actually has Ray's hair on it. And he heard you that Ray is good, and he kept that with him.
okay. But he still wouldn't
Yep,
mention
they're
Crawl.
both dead.
He said the 4 of us. There's a reason he's looking to hire us. Got it.
I do want to note that Krull, according to Terry, is a woman.
Oh, I thought he said he hadn't decided yet. Okay.
No, he said last time.
Yeah,
it was a
last
girl.
time he actually had made the decision that Krull
Sorry.
was a
Thank
woman.
you.
I do vaguely recall you saying that, and I apologize to Terry, who is not here.
Sorry, Terry. I forgot.
I don't know how Krull would have gotten my
I
hair.
mean, do you know how long it took me to get through my head that Full Moon was a dude?
Well, you also
Doing it on purpose.
always kind of pause and forget Krull's name right before you say it. So
There's that.
All right, so Martine is on board with this. She is willing to sign. I have to pee, and I really want to make a martini now, so I will be right back.
and how about Cal? Yeah,
Uh,
what are you doing?
Johnson's just kind of gonna like slow blink upon all of you agreeing, and he's going to put the pen on the napkin and slide it across to you to note and say, "This is a one-time thing. I'm going to recommend you change that 4 to a 6." And then he will like take his hand back and just watch you for the coins.
Yeah, no, she knows.
Basically telling you should be asking for more.
Yeah. And Shayna get that, but Note doesn't give a shit about finances, so
Sure.
I mean she'll do it.
Note's smart enough to recognize a professional courtity.
Yeah. No,
From-
that's fine. She doesn't
Clearly trying to ensure he has the potential for future jobs with. Like, he doesn't want you to feel gypped because he lowballed the offer expecting you to counter.
okay.
He came into it looking to haggle, and you were not haggling.
You're just gonna haggle it up. Like, he could just totally like it appears he's actually trying to like do right by you for some strange reason.
Can I insight and see how he might react if I made it an 8?
Sure.
That's something I can get with an insight.
You're fairly confident that the 6 he told you to go up to is probably what his cap was.
Aww.
Doesn't mean you can't try. I'm just telling you what your insight told you.
Oh yeah, it's fine. She would listen to that. I'm just sad because I've got a good persuasion because I got expertise in it now. But it's okay.
Because that's his intended cap doesn't mean you couldn't try and persuade him otherwise.
If I look at Decca and like, can we, since we know each other, like communicate silently? What do you think?
What, do you have like innate telepathy with a metal man?
Yes. Together most of
And how's he going to answer you, like with a twitch of his metal nose? Like,
what I'm thinking is I'll just look a question at him in regards to this. Like, just look, you know how you look at someone questioningly, and he could shrug or nod or shake his head, whatever.
And what are you trying to ask with your body language?
you know what? I'm going to make you insight check this, and you have to do an innuendo roll because this
Can I do a performance roll?
Sure.
I'm honestly just thinking, does he think I should go above the 6 he's recommending or not?
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to find out.
Decca's not paying attention.
Johnson is.
Hold on, and that's my performance to Decca in my bot. So I'm doing real great, and you're just like, I'm stuck on that light pipe thing. What's going on?
So, for the record, Johnson got the exact same number you did on his inside check. And he's going to kind of lean forward and say, do you often defer decisions to the metal man? Should I be negotiating with him in the future?
If you think it's a deference, you can't read body language very well. That's out of character. I take it back. Out of character.
You're doing a lot of that today.
Shut up. She'll say it's not a deference, it's a partnership, but and she'll write a 6 and hand it back.
At which point he realizes his martini glass is empty, and he kind of goes like this.
Out of character, I think I might have made my martini a little too dirty.
Nice. Johnson's a fan.
Yeah, Decca's just sitting there with his martini copying Fancy Pants over there.
He gets the long arms up.
Yeah, that's how now he thinks how you have to drink this.
I like it. He's amused. It's okay. They have Warforged where he's from.
Gareth will just kind of sniff it and down all of it.
And like one tiny sip, like I should have had a bigger glass.
You know, like the sampler glasses sometimes at bars where they look like tiny mugs and you feel like a giant? That's what it looks like in Galeth's hand. Is just like a super tiny martini glass. I just now realized that my name is Martine and I'm drinking a martini and I am very amused by this.
So I just realized I actually forgot to create a handout this afternoon.
Oh,
Right now.
that
So
was the 20 you missed.
after Johnson signs this napkin contract, he signs it and like passes it over to you. He reaches beside him on the table and pulls up a briefcase that he sets in front of him, and he opens it. And out of that, he pulls a manila folder, and he slides it across the table, which should have a handout that I was going to make for you. That is a dossier on Krenko. So if you were to open it on the left, you would have a crude hand drawing of Krenko, Clearly, this is not the best drawing and was probably made like a sketch artist going off a description as opposed to someone who actually has seen him in person.
Oh, we can do way better than that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Sure, but this is again why you guys are being tapped for this mission.
Right.
After that, on the right hand side, you'll actually see a multiple page dossier with information to aid you in your investigation, and that's literally I have like that much stuff that I was going to put in there for you guys that has contacts and like people to like start your investigation.
Okay.
That's why I was like, if you guys go too far off track, and now I don't even have that open for you.
You'll get it to us not next week, but the following week.
Yeah, I mean, we still had like 20 minutes. I was just kind of hoping to have a direction check, but whatever. So it gives you this dossier.
We're gonna go to his mother.
She is not on the list.
Yeah, sorry, that was really just random. Very, very sorry.
Now I almost want to put his mother on the list. I don't.
Do it.
You never jump a guy at his mom's house.
No, we're not gonna jump him there. We just want to talk to her about his friends and places he hangs out.
Who doesn't want
You
to meet a
ever
cop?
jump someone at his mother's house, then his mother and siblings and dad and people would be in trouble. Possibly his cousins and second cousins, and I mean, it really depends on what your family structure is like. But you never jump the person at their mom's house unless you know that they have a real problem with each other.
So upon seeing you sign it, Johnson looks very pleased and says, "Fantastic. Once you've decided that you have upon capture of Cranko, once you've decided the disposition you would like, you may contact me with this." And he pulls out like a normal river stone and sets it on the table. He says, if you whisper my name to the stone, I will hear you. Merely give me the name of if you would like it to go to a certain guild, or if you'd like me to take him into our unaffiliated custody, which is always an option if you prefer not to risk pissing off another guild. And with my organization, you may actually find allies into it. You would gain favor with people in my organization that way as well. But again, these are your choices and your decisions to make.
This is one of those really cool talking stones, huh?
Yes.
And Martine is fascinated by this stone and actually takes out her little notebook and starts like looking at it and writing notes about the stone itself and what she feels.
Yeah.
It looks like a river stone.
Yeah, it looks like a river stone. She's writing notes of what she feels magically and stuff like that. It's one of those really geeky moments that at least the four of us do on occasion.
Alright. Yeah. I'll take the stone. I'll have it still open in my palm so she can like sketch it if she wants to sketch it, make notes about the size and the dimension and the
looking for runes or magical anything like that, stuff like that.
The curtain opens, and your server again appears with a fresh tray of martinis, including one for Johnson.
Awesome.
And after she hands them out, she again takes that tray hugged to her chest, and she kind of looks at you all and looks at Johnson. And she's like, "So, the lady that came with you would like to know if it's safe to rejoin you or if you'll be needing longer because she may leave."
I'll, ignoring that, look at Johnson's. Would you like to join us for pie?
Johnson's like, "I do love a good pie."
So we don't know if she would even want any pie.
Oh,
but
she definitely loves pie.
Damn it.
We would love to have her.
Who doesn't?
Us.
Yeah.
Is she working with you?
She is my primary contact within the Orzhov Syndicate, yes.
Okay.
I find her much more pleasing than her brother.
I wonder why.
It would be wonderful for her to join us with martinis and pie. And maybe coffee.
And
Not
she
peppermint, though.
does return to spend the aforementioned martini and pie ordering escapade with you.
Okay. Who wants to order their pies? Okay, yeah, I'll
Gal
leave you alone.
Gal has been
I wanna
on you.
know who's getting what, because this may come up later.
Martine is going to have a cheesecake, which is actually, in my opinion, more of a type of pie versus an actual cake,
Yeah.
with raspberry topping.
Okay. How many did Gal choose? Are you looking up?
I just opened up a random number generator with one between 128, and Gal would like the number 5, the number 39, 73, 94, and 117, and a pot of coffee, a large pot.
Oh man, I love
I'll be. I'll. You and I can chat later and decide what types each of those pies are. We can decide that later. Um.
That could just be another handout he makes for next
It
time.
is
Lists out
chocolate
128
mousse,
pies.
blueberry pie, banana cream filling with Nilla wafers, which most of us probably don't know what those are, but with Nilla wafers, and a raspberry pie, and then a really decadent coconut cream pie. I think that covers a wide range, which I think is what, with those numbers, Gal was trying to go with.
There'd probably also be like one savory meat pie in there somewhere as well.
Yes.
Note
It's like a
pie.
rabbit and potato pie or something.
Yeah. Note's gonna also make sure Dahlia's pie's in there because I want it to be, and also to have options between dessert and real food, and order a second pot of coffee.
Let's switch out the coconut for Dahlia's pie because I actually despise coconut.
Okay, fair.
No coconuts on the planet either.
Well,
Coconuts
no,
and ginger completely gone.
no, they still exist because I have plenty of members of my family that.
Definitely a Haupia pie.
So Katarga actually orders a rich chocolate mousse pie with 2 dollops of buttercream icing on top because they're going to recreate the scene from the Matrix in front of you all, even though you can't see the Matrixy scene.
Oh yeah, I know.
And yes, I just had to Google that to see what the pie looked like that she had.
I figured that's what you were actually, because you looked off screen, and I'm like, that's what you do when you're on your iPad.
Mm-hmm. I was like catching the reference that I wanted to keep going with my nerd throwaway here.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what about, is Deca gonna get anything, or is he gonna go based on what everyone else has? Share it. I guess.
Deca will just look at the list, closes like this, and just hit a.
You hit shoe fly pie. Becca just ordered something called shoe fly pie. And the waitress is like, "Oh, honey, you're gonna love my shoe fly pie." And she like pats you on the forehead.
It's an insect pie.
Wait,
I'm not even sure if Deca can taste things. He doesn't need to eat or drink, so.
yeah, it's just social.
I do wonder how that actually works. Does it like go down the esophagus and just like loop out because you're not digesting it?
I imagine that since he's a pyro and has the fire, there's like a pit of fire in his stomach that literally burns the food as it comes in, and it's.
I think it's just gonna sit in there and start to rot and decompose. He's gonna have really bad breath for like 2 years.
No, I prefer Shayna's vision that Deca actually has a furnace inside. It's like how you would normally take an oil or coal or something to fuel it.
Right.
I like to think he has a secret pet in there that he's feeding.
There's a gerbil that just got stuck in there at one point.
I will say Martine is writing down all of the contemplative notes of how this actually works. It's like
She's like, I haven't seen him eat before.
yeah, like yeah. So she's got all these random notes of fire. Does it
Yeah.
go out
Did it
somewhere?
Did Martine make the fire like?
Yeah, I think the alcohol might be a problem, and she's actually got that note in there. The alcohol might be a problem.
When I burp, just fire.
Yes.
Bender?
Yes. Don't question it. I've seen him eat before and decided it wasn't worth asking.
If it's a colony of mice, you could have a swarm attack.
Chester,
Hmm?
really quick. if we decide that can this be a mechanics thing in the game now though? Like can he have either a burpee fire breath that's on a kind of random D100 generator or something, or a swarm of fire or well-fed mice actually that
I will take it into consideration, but he's not going to control that unless he finds a way to control that.
Great.
Mice.
If you're inviting them,
Chris is just like, thank you. Now there's going to be this random effect that happens with my character that's going to have to deal with.
No, I'm saying if Chris wanted to. I'm not hey. Shut up. Never mind, move on.
You put it in Chester's head. Now it's going to happen.
It's something that might happen.
I always do this and nobody likes it. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I
It's just going to be hilarious when it happens. And
Yes.
I just really like the idea of you being in a battle and you're casting spells and you're doing really cool shit and someone sneaks up on you and you're surprised, so you like hiccup and you reflex by burping and it's just this fountain of flame that engulfs.
It's going to be a fountain of mises.
No.
Or maybe cuttlefish. Just a fountain of fiery cuttlefish.
And they're so taken off guard, they're dazed for a turn. Like, what the? Anyway, sorry, Chester.
I might be insane. I'm sorry.
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with it. No need to apologize. So at that point, you guys are relaxing, and the pies come, and they are most definitely some of the best pies that you've ever had. Some of you might be jealous about pies that other people had, except for Galeth, who ordered a lot of pie, and his pot of coffee did show up.
I'm just eating pie by the slice.
Yep, I like it.
Notes chugging coffee.
Yeah, Note's apparently willing to share her pie, but no one else is. So
It's family style. You don't order big dishes and not share them.
No, I'm totally sharing my
If Gal doesn't want to, that's
cheesecake
fine.
raspberry pie.
She-
Katarga looks like she's really enjoying her chocolate mousse pie. She's not sharing.
Fair
She'll-
enough.
No,
Seems to be enjoying that show.
not with Jonathan.
Yeah, he seems to be enjoying that show over there. Like he sees something no one else does.
Okay.
Throwing down pie by the slice and will occasionally just pick up the pot and sip from it like a massive mug.
It's about a normal mug for him, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Right.
Yeah, pot. That's your mug.
Now I want coffee.
I can't have coffee this late, otherwise I'm going to be awake until 3 a.m.
I'm gonna be anyway, so.
Oh. If I didn't have to wake up at 6, I would actually do it and join you for some escapade online tonight.
That's fair. Right.
Yep.
So after we eat our pie, or as we eat our pie, what's that? Anything? Nothing? Are we done?
How do we get back?
Are you actually asking that?
Well, I was gonna wait as we're wrapping up the pies. If discussion hasn't moved towards that, yeah, we'll be like, so how do we get back? Or like Gala can ask it either way.
Or are we in the district that we actually need to be in to hunt him down? Do we need to go back to the 6, or is this somewhere else?
Oh, this is somewhere very much else. You see,
Okay,
this
in that
is
case,
great.
is he here, or is he in the 6th district?
Oh, Kranko is somewhere in the 10th district where you came from.
Alright, 10th district.
Yes.
So, where the refugee camp is?
So that's a precinct within the 10th district, yes.
Okay, yes.
So
there.
the district is like the entire mega city that you're in. It's part of the giant global city.
Yep.
And then the precincts are individual like boroughs or townships within your individual city.
Me as Becca is not good at that.
Okay.
Hopefully
So those maps
Martine
would
has
help.
high enough intelligence that she would be, but
Yeah.
I
The
personally
maps
am
can
not
help
good
with
at it.
that. Yeah, you can look at the map. Like if you look at the 10th district map, you'll see all the precincts are on there, so it kind of shows you how they fit together.
Okay.
He'll actually go on to explain that he's like, so as runners of shadows who are unaffiliated with the guilds, we find that every now and then we may anger one or evoke a little too much interest and need to have a place well away from the guilds to meet and have our business without their prying eyes or ears. And he kind of gives Katarga a look because clearly she is the eyes and ears of a guild.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "So this place," and he kind of gestures outside of the booth, "moves as we need it to, as does the entrance. Your individual entrance today was through a very fine alternate branch of this restaurant chain. And when you return, you will use the gemstone, which I'm told that you were wise enough to pull from the air. You will place it above an arch, press the stone, and as when you came here, it will wait. And when the other side is clear, it will glow green, and you will be safe to proceed through to your exit point
Okay.
back in the 10th district."
That's pretty
Sounds
cool.
good. Also, since this is like a trans-dimensional or kind of, Samayo is somewhere in the restaurant having a piece of pie and some coffee. She's going to be in every campaign. I'm telling you, I don't care if we switch to play Call of Cthulhu.
You know, I would say Sameo and Mist might actually be having coffee and pie right now.
So, as far as the timeline established, there is a moment where you will see next session the incident at the Silencia Conclave will be on the news. There will be a media broadcast for someone to read in the beginning of our session, which will cover that.
Yay!
Yeah, I ran out of timer. That would have been how we opened up tonight. Sorry.
It's fine. You're busy.
Mm-hmm.
Busy for us. It's okay.
Yeah, busy hanging out in a hotel in Miami.
Fun.
Yeah, I slept until like 1 o'clock, so that's why I ran out of time.
That's good.
That's
Sleep.
fine. Sometimes you need that extra sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
So-
we're wrapping up, do we want to use one of the arches here at this?
Any archway will do.
Yep. Do we want to use one of these arches?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay.
My associate will retrieve the stone once you're through.
Okay.
Is there a stone on the other side that we needed to retrieve?
It's already been placed where your exit point will be.
Well, I mean, after we exit, do we have to retrieve that stone to get back to?
No, it's handled.
All right.
This is the sort of place that you only come to invited until you're of sufficient stature within the organization.
Okay.
And
Pretty
Katarga,
sure
Katarga actually
Sameo
looks a
and
little.
Mist are back in a corner watching this. They are here, not invited, and this is going to go south really quick, and that might come up in a very later session of someone chat.
Everything's good. Alright. So yeah, we can, when we're done with pie, if Galith eventually reaches his fill, we can head out.
Yep.
Cool. So the stone will actually deposit you just outside of the brick house back in precinct 6 of district 10.
Okay.
And there on the other side, the maitre d' is actually like napkin like firmly on the arm as you come out. He greets you. "Nice to see you again. Thank you very much for your patronage," like you were actually exiting his restaurant.
Right.
Because this is 100% a front.
Yeah.
And after each of you have exited, he actually reaches up, grabs the stone, pulls it down, like polishes it, puts it on top of the napkin, and proceeds back into the restaurant.
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
And yeah, we'll go ahead and say that we're paused until next week there.
I figure we'll pick it up from here.
Yeah.
Next week or the week after? Like, I'm good
Right,
anytime,
right.
like, for the next
If
7
you have
weeks.
to.
I mean,
honestly, but-
I don't think, Chris, you're not available next Sunday, right?
No.
It's every
So the next one would be the 28th, but that's the one I'm traveling.
okay.
So unless we want, yeah, no, because that Saturday wait, what's today?
Let's talk schedules off stream though.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can end.
Yeah, I can stop that.
We'll be back.
Sorry, I'm looking at the calendar.
Later, folks.
I'm available next Sunday, but Chris is